Everyone, welcome back to my channel. As the video stated, today we are going to be talking about how to avoid last minute recommendation letter requests. So if you guys are interested in this video, then keep watching. Before I even get into it, let me just say, if you guys have not already, please take a look at my intake prep course that is available to you now for anyone who is interested in gaining more information as an interest, as a potential candidate, or someone that's already started their intake process. There's some really good information available to you guys. I have a basic course and I have a deluxe course that offer two different things. I'll link the descriptions of those down below, as well as the link. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me, but let's go ahead and get into this topic of discussion. So with everything that's going on right now with COVID, even if we were outside of COVID, I've gotten a lot of requests in the past year, I would say, about people asking for recommendation letters in a limited time or having a limited time to get them out. So the one thing that I would recommend to people, if you haven't done so already, is to go ahead and start building those relationships with people who you think would be a good person to write your recommendation letter for you. Now, this is for people who have already kind of started showing interest in the organization. I should say it's strictly for people who've already started showing interest, because you don't want to have people in your pocket for recommendation letters until you're close to starting your process anyways. So I would recommend having for that at least 2 to 3 people that you think that you can talk to potentially ask you to write your recommendation letter if you're about to start your process. So for the people that are getting ready to start their process, I always tell people to make sure that they have someone as a recommender at least 2 months before their process begins. And that is for people who are outside of the chapter. If you just know someone who's financial, who's part of the organization, or you know a community leader who you'll probably need a recommendation from, make sure that you already ask those people in advance, so when it's time, they'll already be aware that you're interested in them writing your recommendation, and all you need is to give them a date once you figure out what the date is. So make sure you already have those people in your pocket. Make sure you've updated them and let them know where you are in your process so that they'll be ready to write your recommendation letter when needed. For people who are interested in asking members of the chapter to write your recommendation letter, you should start working on building relationships the moment you've expressed interest in the organization. And the reason why I say that is because with chapter members, it depends on who can write your letter for you. Some vice presidents will be more than happy to write your recommendation letter for you once you ask them. Some chapters or some organizations, the vice president can't write your recommendation letter. So the sooner that you know these things, the better prepared you will be. If the officer isn't able to write your recommendation letter for you, then you can start exploring the option of asking members of the chapter to write your recommendation letter. And with COVID right now, to give you a better example, we're not able to physically meet with people in order to have like a sit-down conversation with them, but you can start texting and having a conversation that way. I feel like with everything going on right now, people just want you to check on other people anyways. So if you're checking in with the chapter members just to check in and see how things are going, that's fine. And I think they would appreciate that as well too. The thing that you have to remember with Greek life is, even though we're part of the organization that you want to get into, we're still people, and we still appreciate when people check in on us and see how we're doing, and there's no hidden agenda behind that. It's just you're wanting to actually check in on people. And that's another way for you to build relationships as well, is to just check in every once in a while and see how things are going and spark a conversation like that. If you can't spark a conversation by checking in, or if you've already sparked a conversation by checking in, you guys can talk about each other. You can talk about yourself. You can send a polite message. Just if they already have your number, if you guys already exchanged numbers, just respond, or just send them a text introducing yourself and what your current interests are. What do you do in your field? And before you know it, they might have a similar job as you, and you guys can talk about your job, or talk about the challenges that you face in your job, or your different interests and things like that. So use those moments to get to know members of the chapter and spark a conversation that way. And before you know it, you'll be close enough to where you feel comfortable writing a recommendation letter. Do not request a recommendation letter at the last minute. The reason why is because they won't have enough time to provide any information on you. In all honesty, if you start building those relationships right now, then you'll have more than enough time for them to write your recommendation letter. Or even if it's at the last minute, they would know enough about you by the time you ask for your letter for them to be able to write you a great recommendation letter. So take that into consideration. If you are down to the wire and you don't have anybody that can write your recommendation letter for you, I would try this, but only try it if you are 100% confident that they're going to respond and provide you with a recommendation letter. Here's what you can do. You can send a copy of your, well, first of all, ask if they're okay with writing your recommendation letter, and then let them know that if they need it, you will send them a copy of your resume and some information about yourself that's not included in the resume. So if you don't have your hobbies or interests included in your resume, you can put that in your paragraph to them, just so they'll have something to go off of. Recommendation letters are usually not longer than a page, if 2 paragraphs once you do the formatting for it, which the first paragraph is typically them introducing themselves and them explaining how they met you, and then why they think you'd be an asset to the organization. That's typically what it's about. So if you already have that information, then provide that information to them. If you already have a interest letter typed up and you're able to send that to them so that they can see why you think you'd be a good candidate, they can use that as a template and use that for the recommendation letter. It doesn't work all the time. I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't always work, but it is something for you to try if you're really, really down to the wire and you need a recommendation letter quick and easy and fast. So those are pretty much my ways on how to avoid last minute recommendation letters. It's pretty short, sweet, and to the point. I hope that you guys found it helpful. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below. If you guys have any questions for me that are more specific, you can always email me at KelsTells.all@gmail.com. And don't forget to take a look at my intake prep courses to see if there's any information that would help you guys out with your process. The price will go up after a while, so make sure that you are enrolling in it now while it's discounted and getting the best information you can get in regards to intake. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time.